I literally can't believe that we've signed Cristiano Ronaldo for £100 million. I mean, it's fantastic.
Don't release that. I mean, that's meant to be very secret. We've got to be secretive about the Ronaldo thing. And whatever you do, don't mention Messi, because that will just really upset people.
All right. I won't. And the other thing is Neymar. Apparently, we signed him for 267 million, but I'm not going into that. So. That we've signed Cristiano Ronaldo.
Don't tell him about Messi. Okay. All right. I think we're live now. Shit, that messed up a bit. But hello and welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge. Hopefully everybody can see us, hear us, and everything is working perfectly well. I've got Alex as my guest. I've got the Draughty Devil as my guest tonight as well. Show sorts of writes itself. We know what we're going to be talking about. Mourinho, Van Gaal, Giggs, Mata, Carrick. People who are going to be sold, people who are going to be signed. Absolutely loads. I want to get the comments section up, but I'm going to fly straight in. We'll go to Alex first of all. Can't see you, Mark, somebody said. No idea why that would be. Anyway, let us know if there's any problems with it. But do you feel sorry for Louis van Gaal? I'll go straight into it with Alex, and if there are any problems with the visuals, can somebody let us know, yay or nay? But go to you, Alex.
Hard to feel. Wait, am I on mute now? Yeah, sorry. It's hard to feel sorry for him with the huge payout he's going to be getting. I think I read like something like 5 million, so you can't really feel sorry for him. But he has to know that like the writing was on the wall. He had the expectations. I'm sure he gets at the start of every season. Oh, you have X, Y, Z to achieve, and he knew that getting top four was one of the things. And it's like City completely bottled it and just were handing it on a plate to us. And he had that West Ham game, and he just threw it away. So I don't feel sorry for him. I think he's left, I think you might disagree with it, but I think he left a better basis to build off than what Fergie left and what Moyes left. So I wouldn't say that left us in a brilliant position, because obviously we don't have Champions League, but I think there's, like, Jose can make a good team out of what Van Gaal's left him, like the likes of Martial, Rashford, if Jose's plays and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go to Draughty and ask him if he feels sorry for him. I've got to be responsible. I've spoken to quite a lot of people today about United, about Van Gaal. We've done the Van Gaal out video. We've done the Mourinho in video. Some people have said it's not 100% official. I'll tell you what, I'm going to tell you something very simple now. Mourinho's our next manager and Van Gaal's gone. He's gone. And it'll happen tomorrow. And if it doesn't happen tomorrow, something's changed and he's staying, and something major has happened. And I hope it's not because all you lot have just gone and felt sorry for him. He's gone. He's 100% gone, and it will happen tomorrow. It won't be announced officially today. It was never going to be official today. The club will announce it tomorrow. I don't feel sorry for him. Mourinho, I think that'll happen later in the week, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I think Ibrahimovic before the Euros. And I'm not picking things out of the sky. I've been told that's going to happen, and I reckon, and I'm 100% sure that's going to happen, and I'm happy to say it live on air. But go to Draughty. You were at the Cup yesterday. I don't know how much you want to reveal about the things you've been told separately. But I think most importantly of all, a lot of people have said that Van Gaal, he deserves respect. He's been treated badly. I would say to that, I can give you a lot of examples, but I'll tell you what. I'm going to talk about another Dutchman who single-handedly won us the league. Never even got a tweet off the club to say thanks for everything you've done. Was kicked out the door, and Van Gaal was instrumental in that. And I'm sorry, I don't bear grudges, but I don't forget either. And the treatment of Robin van Persie by Van Gaal and the club was disgusting. And that's where my sympathy ends with Van Gaal. I'm glad he's gone. I'm happy he's gone. I hope he enjoys his retirement. I don't bear him any ill health or anything like that. But as Manchester United manager, I'm happy he's gone from a personal point of view. I've left the Draughty Devil speechless.
No, actually, your sound cut out, so I didn't actually hear what you said. Basically, so do I feel sorry for LBG? I did yesterday. It's different when you're at the stadium and you're physically at the Cup. You see him on the balcony, and he looked a bit dejected. He actually looked defeated in victory, shall we say. And in some ways, you got to say, it hasn't even been 24 hours since we lifted the Cup, and people are already saying, Louis van Gaal, you're out, at the press conference. I know he's earning millions. I know he's treated people badly, but for one day where a guy has actually won a trophy, I'm sorry, you got to cut him a little bit of slack just for that one day. So I did feel sorry for him in the stadium. There weren't too many boos in the crowd at all. Didn't hear anything. In fact, people were cheering when he lifted the Cup. So if that's his last hurrah, then, I'm cool with that. However, I was talking in the gala event beforehand to a number of ex-pros, and they told me that, Ian Dowie actually said, they reckon that Jose signed a deal on Friday night. Jose will be announced on Tuesday, and Louis van Gaal will be informed by the board tomorrow morning when the stock exchange opens that he will be leaving his duties. He could even be informed tonight. So, there's no smoke without fire. We've said today that Louis van Gaal is going, and I believe he is. So all the ex-pros I've spoken to yesterday, I'm fairly confident for once that he is going.
Well, you know what? I put the video out, and we spoke about this as a team on the United Stand, whether to put this video out at 12:30 that Louis van Gaal's gone. And we collectively decided that we had enough information to do it, and hence the video, if you watch it, it's on the United Stand now. It's only 3 or 4 minutes. Watch it after this. And it says what I think about Van Gaal, and he is gone, and I 100% stand by it. And people are saying it's not official. You know what? If we waited for everything to be official, it'd be a very boring world. That's why you have so many paper outlets and everything like that. I'm just going to say something. The Carrick fan just said Jose Mourinho is a great appointment. He'll bring the fear factor back to Old Trafford. Very, very apt. And I know I say Mourinho a lot. I have a bit of dyslexia, and I see what I say, but I know it's Mourinho. It's because it doesn't spell like that. But there's something I just want to. I'm glad I've spotted Carrick fans thing there, because there's a little reaction to the news that we've got Mourinho from Carrick fan that I just want to show you all.
Yes. Ha ha! Screw you! Oh yes! You get me blood. You get me fire. You get me blood. Boom! 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 Vamos! Get it!
Yeah, I don't know whether that was a sort of. I'm trying to get ourselves back there. I don't know whether that was a reaction to Van Gaal going or Mourinho staying, but certainly a very interesting one, which we like to show. I said we had him on the watch along as well, didn't we? Had a little clip there, so I hope you enjoyed that. But what I would say in defence, and Alex has ran off, so I can't go to him straight away. But what I would say in Van Gaal's defence is, and we've been negative, and I want to apologise to those people out there who've been a bit pissed off with the United Stand over the last few months. We have been negative, I accept that, and probably most of that's come from me in relation to Van Gaal. But when I get an idea in my head, I find it hard to change, and I know I've got to change because I know there's always another side to a story. And when you start going down that line of calling him Van fraud and stuff like that, I know it's disrespectful, but I'd said it and I went with it and I believed in it and I was passionate about it. But you're going to see a different me. I mean, Mourinho as manager is the manager. I wanted him 3 years ago. I went absolutely mad when we got Moyes. I wanted Mourinho, and to this day, I believe he wanted it as well. We've now got him. I will back him. He gets a year out of me. I don't care if we lose the first 10 games in a row. He gets a year out of me, and that's what any manager should get. So he gets my support 100%. But what I would say as well is, in his defence, is that we live in a different world now, and if Sir Alex Ferguson was managing United in his early years now, he would have been sacked, and that is sad. We do live in a different world. But for me, we lost to Southampton in January. That was the 11th home game in a row that we hadn't scored in the first half at Old Trafford. There's plenty of stats out there. There are loads, but I think people are being sympathetic because he's probably been treated badly, like Draughty said. But also, I just think we can't forget, Alex, what's gone before this season. And the reality is, we should all be absolutely happy he's gone. I don't think it was a great cup final. I think, Rooney decided to rip up the rule book. Instead of passing it sideways, he thought, sod this. He went past 3 players. Superb. We've been critical of Rooney, but absolutely brilliant. He did something he's not done in years. And got us level. And then, Lingard, another player we've been critical of, we'll never forget that goal.
It just seems like, with what we were saying, I think in the preview, with that as soon as we concede a goal, we suddenly end up turn up and play. That's what I said in the preview before the game even started, that I'm worried that that's what will happen, and it is what happened. We left it really late, considering they scored, I think, the 79th minute and we scored in the 81st. But it must be instructions why Rooney doesn't do that, because he was absolutely brilliant with that run and the cross was absolutely superb. And I actually thought, I don't get how they gave Lingard man of the match when he came on in the 70-odd minute, but I thought Rooney was my man of the match again after winning man of the match versus Bournemouth. But one thing that going back to the Louis van Gaal sacking thing, like the club just seems to handle these sackings so badly that like the way they go about it, like I feel sorry for Van Gaal in that regard, because it was like the same thing with Moyes that he found out from the media before the club itself. And like this, I understand like what they're saying about that they didn't want it to be like with Pep Guardiola with City when he was announced that City went in that really bad run of form because they know the manager's leaving anyway. But it's like he shouldn't have to find out from the media. They should have told him before, like, oh, thanks for everything. You have this cup final that you can bring some glory to your name. Like, I don't think he would have thrown him because I think his ego's too big that he'd have wanted to win the trophy for himself. But I just think that we should have told him before rather than the media. And I know it wasn't United that leaked it and it was Mendes, but even so.
Loads in the live comments. We're going to get through it all. So people are asking about Zlatan, who we're going to sign, who's going to go. That's part of the show. Giggs is part of the show. Mourinho's a big part of the show. We're on Van Gaal at the moment. And I agree with Alex there. I thought Rudy was man of the match. We'll ask Drawty in a moment because he was obviously at the game. But I just think under Van Gaal, what people shouldn't forget is there's a lot of players that I think are far better than they are. You know, he's treated them terribly. The players that aren't at the club, but players still are at the club. You know, Herrera, Memphis, Schneiderlin, Darmian. It's been like a game of the Van Gaal hokey cokey. They've been in, out, shake it all about. You know, literally every week. And also, I just think that when you look at the team, it's his way of playing, and it was a boring final. I was talking to my dad about this earlier, and he just said it was a boring game. It was really boring. But obviously we got wrapped up the closer it got to 90 minutes and extra time. I think the tension made it exciting, but it wasn't. We were side to side again, and I think a decent team would have tore Palace apart. But the team under Van Gaal, his philosophy is basically he strips all the creative players of any spontaneity and encloses them with this fear of doing something wrong. And I think that encapsulates what United is. It's like there's no creativity and everybody's absolutely terrified of doing anything wrong. But sort of feeding into that the Van Gaal thing. And another thing that I'm not defending him. I think he deserves to go. I've got total respect for him as a man. Now he's not Man United manager, but you know what? Those every Saturday, every game where we get the team line up and we see Fellaini in it an hour before, and we see we've lost the game before we even start. People are forgetting all this just because they feel sorry for him. You know, December getting beaten by crap, getting knocked out of an easy Champions League group, bending over to Liverpool over two legs, turning up to West Ham like a wet fart when we had a chance to get in top four that we never ever deserved. And most of all, the absolute rubbish football. I think that's the thing that always stands with me. It's that, you know, that's what's killed Van Gaal. I think he could have survived another season, but what's killed him is you can't turn up at Old Trafford especially and play shit like that and bore everybody. You just can't do it. That is the one thing you have a responsibility as a United manager, is you must entertain. And he just never grasped that. And all his arrogance and everything like that, he never grasped that. But what I wanted to ask you, Drawty, as well as your FA Cup man of the match, was also that I think one thing that fans should forget is, and what I don't agree with, I think Van Gaal is really, really culpable and deserves all the criticism he's getting. But let's not forget, the board should have sacked him at Christmas, as we've always said. The board appointed him, and the board have to take some responsibility. And I do agree with Alex there. The way they handled Moyes was disrespectful. The way they've handled this isn't ideal. But the board, they employed him. At the end of the day, they could employ Alex. It's not his fault if it goes wrong.
Am I commenting on the board or?
Well, give us your match and then right. tell us where the board stand on all this.
All right. Well, first of all, in order to do the match justice, for once I'm going to use my real voice, because to be honest, it was a huge, huge game. And for me, Wayne Rooney pretty much led the line. Wayne Rooney really... I know you're probably like, what the hell's going on right now? Wayne Rooney,
Kev,
for me...
We all thought it was
no,
Kev.
It's not Kev. It's definitely not Kev. But Wayne Rooney, for me, was man of the match yesterday. There were a couple of errant passes across the pitch, which, didn't go to plan.
I thought, I will jump in on this, because I thought there was a lot on Twitter, and I think Alex would agree, because obviously you were at the game, probably didn't see it. He was getting slated. Everyone was saying he was absolute shit. And he was, but that one little bit changed the game. He won us that trophy, I think.
I think basically at that point in the game we had to throw everything at it. The United end, we were dead. Seriously, the stadium on that side was completely and utterly dead. and Palace were, in the ascendancy, and it just got to this point in the game, and Rooney was just like, do you know what? I'm not going to play sideways. I'm just going to fucking run at the defence. It was great to see, and we all got on the edge of our seats, and he walks in. I was like, I think we're going to score here. Chipped it over, and then, it's just a little bit of magic that kind of we really, really needed to get us back in the game, because we genuinely thought at 1-0, that was it. We were sunk. Everyone was just completely and utterly dejected. For me, Wayne Rooney was the only man of the match, because you look around the pitch. Carrick, I'm sorry, Mark, he was terrible yesterday. He was absolutely terrible. His legs have gone. He was so slow on the ball, and every time it was sideways, and he was almost playing. Carrick was playing the Van Gaal way, and as soon as that's happening, you've lost it. And he definitely had an effect on him. Valencia, Jesus Christ, he couldn't put a cross on our noughts and crosses. He wasn't great. Blind, I was really frustrated with Blind sometimes. He made a couple of mistakes where he let people through. And for me, the worst play on the pitch, Smalling was diabolical. Should have been sent off in the first half when he took down Connor Wickham. It was we could all see it in the stadium. It was a red card. 100%. But I don't think Clattenburg wanted to do it that early in the game, because it would have ruined the fight.
I don't think the first foul was a red card. I thought it was a yellow card, to be honest. I thought he meant like the red card when he got it. Yeah.
No. We actually thought the first one where Smalling was through, because he kind of knocked him down, and then Connor Wickham got up again.
Nah, trust me. Look on the replay. That definitely wasn't a red.
From where we were sat, it looked like a red. There's a lot of guys there going, it looked dodgy. Anyway, but he did deserve to get sent off in the end, because that rugby tackle. I mean, Johnny Wilkins.
Alex was hanging him out to dry, calling him an effing disgrace and this, that, and the other. You know what? There's nothing like a drama queen. It was definitely a red card, but having played football, that was not him doing that. That was just like a natural reaction, because he held him for a good 10 seconds, and then the brain kicked in, and he went, oh shit, and went like that, and he knew he was off. Seriously. It was just natural, wasn't it?
Well, and he had to do it because Blassie was just going to beat everyone for pace. You had Blind at the back. It was like, well, he's just going to run around the side and then run straight through to goal. So he had to do it. As soon as he did it, I went, well, he's off then, isn't he? He's gone. So to be fair, he took one for the team there. So I kind of don't blame him, because we won the game in the end. Had that gone on and he scored, then we would have lost. So in some ways, you say Chris Smalling, actually, you took one for the team. Fair enough. For me, it was Wayne Rooney. On the stadium, it said Lingard got man of the match, which I find completely baffling. Amazing goal. It's going to be remembered for years to come, but he was not man of the match by any stretch of the imagination. One bit of magic does not make you man of the match. So for me, it was Wayne Rooney. And yeah, that's where I stand.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in there. I think, obviously that Draughty Devil isn't Canadian by the sounds of it, so I'm going to stop speaking in my normal voice and go, sure, back to my real voice, I'm not even called Mark, I'm called Dermot from Cork. So there we go. And let's all speak how we should do, Alex. I know you've got the old gangster talk down there in Stoke, but no, realistically, Adam G said something there. He said Mark speaks 100% rubbish. He might be right, but he also said he doesn't know anything about Van Gaal. Van Gaal was talking about the end of the season. I watched that about 2 hours ago, and what I would say is that is 100%. That's typical Sky Sports for you. They make a massive drama out of him saying it's over, and when you watch it, he is clearly saying, no, it's over, meaning the season. I would agree with that. I'm not going to argue with that. But what I will not agree with you is he's gone tomorrow. He's gone tomorrow. He's gone. It's gone. I do agree with you about the Sky Sports thing, but Van Gaal is gone, and you will all see that tomorrow. And I'm happy that the video is up on the United Stand talking about him being gone, because we got it right, and that'll be proved right tomorrow. So not going to dwell on that for too much longer. Mourinho, I've got to get it right. Mourinho, I do want to talk about. Football Skills HD, I want to get some of these comments in on here as well, because I know we've been chatting away and I've been reading everything but not speaking it out. He's talking about the Tuesday thing, obviously Mendes. Why's Mendes leaked it? I think, you know what? He lives in the real world. We've all got grudges to bear, and I think...
let me just quickly cut in. I read an article about that apparently Mendes hates Van Gaal because of how he's dealing... You can go,
Alex, because you're probably about to say what I was going to say.
Okay, I was just going to say I read an article in Manchester Evening News that apparently Mendes has hated him, and I do actually remember him saying it's like back to when we had Falcao, because obviously Mendes brought in Falcao and Di Maria, and we subbed him off like during it, or no, he didn't make the matchday squad for something, and then Mendes like came out publicly and said, "Oh, I wish Ferguson was still manager," because Ferguson and Mendes have a good relationship. And he's like, "Oh, I wish Ferguson was still manager. It wouldn't happen under him." Yada yada yada. And then with the whole De Gea thing and everything, so I don't think he likes him. So I think that was just his way of getting revenge. And it's like with Sky Sports, like the sources that they're actually quoting is actually directly from Mendes that said it, which makes me hopeful that he is being manager. And I think it was just kicking him while he's down, basically. But the thing is, we can't afford to fall out with him because he's like the agent of every single good player in the world. So we can't afford it.
Well, we were talking about it before we came on air, weren't we? I mean, I know he's the agent of. Not many people will know Saul Niguez, but he's got a 40% stake in him. Obviously, Andre Gomez. There's people we probably won't get, like Costa, Di Maria, Ronaldo, Carvalho in Portugal. But definitely Andre Gomez, James Rodriguez, Saul Niguez, and then somebody I didn't even know. There will be others, but Laporte, Atletico Bilbao, a left-sided centre-back. So it gets more and more exciting. And then there's players who aren't agented by Mendes, who want to play for Mourinho, of which there's bloody loads of them. But big players that Varane. I've got a funny feeling, and I'm happy to say it here, that Aubameyang might happen. He was scouting him a couple of months ago. It's very left field. He'd probably end up at Real Madrid, but I wouldn't be surprised if he came to us. Obviously, Ibrahimovic. But we'll talk a little bit about that more in a moment. I'm just going to do my big face reveal to reveal that I really am Dermot. Here we go. Nah, maybe messing around. But yeah, that is going to happen. But Mourinho, I do want to talk about. I've got to go back to Jorty in a minute, and he's going to explain why he's no longer Canadian. But Laporte would be great, says Alistair Waters. He could always impress Jose on the pre-season. That's Alex. Saul just signed the new deal, says Lucius Mayweather. Atletico Madrid. You can't really blame him, really. It's like Griezmann, isn't it? I mean, Griezmann I'd love to get, but we're not in the Champions League. And why aren't we in the Champions League? Let's not forget. David De Gea obviously is under Mendes, so he should stay. Varane, James. But talking about Mourinho, is he? And I'll put this to the comment section as well. I need to go onto Twitter because I put this up earlier. Is he the right man for Manchester United, Drawty? Because I think he is. Obviously, I've said that. I think Alex thinks he is. I think you do think he is. But what I would say is that I can't guarantee it'll work. There are no guarantees in football. He's the best man available, and we've had 3 years of big mistakes, so we can't be picky. But what I want to discuss is some of the issues with him. But whilst I just get a list of those, because I think they're all a load of rubbish, but I've got to give the voice. Is he the right man for United? Have you got any concerns about him? Anything concerning you about Mourinho?
I think he is literally the only man who can do this job. I think he's the only manager with the balls big enough to walk into Old Trafford and say, here I am, here's my CV. More so than Guardiola. What's Guardiola proved at Barcelona and Bayern Munich? Absolutely nothing. He came into a side with Lionel Messi and Andres Iniesta at his feet. He walked into a side with Frank Ribery and Arjen Robben. I mean, you've got teams who are world class there in leagues which are a lot weaker than the Premier League. He is going to find it an absolute shock to the system when he comes into the Premier League. And the other thing is with Jose Mourinho, he has the best CV in world football after Sir Alex Ferguson. So he has the best CV as active manager going. So you have to go for the best manager in the world. He's won the European Cup with Porto, which everyone kind of forgets. Before he went to Chelsea, he did win it with FC Porto. Granted, he had Deco at his disposal, but it wasn't a great side, and they weren't expected to win the cup that year. But he did it anyway, and that's when he proclaimed himself to be the special one. At Chelsea, he did a fantastic job. Completely different to Manchester United. Chelsea, Russian billionaire comes in. He wants instant success. Gives him loads of money. Of course, you're going to take it. If someone goes to you, here you go, is millions of pounds. Go spend it. You're going to do it. And everyone's going, Jose Mourinho doesn't bring through youth. He doesn't have to at the teams he's been at. Do Real Madrid bring through youth? No, they don't. They buy Galacticos. Do Chelsea bring through youth? No, they try and buy everyone because that's what Roman Abramovich wanted to do. Inter Milan, very much the kind of same. Maybe a few young players, but he already had Zlatan when he first came there, so he didn't really need to spend, he didn't need to bring through the youth as such. And he won the European Cup with them because he already had a pretty strong side. For me, Jose, he's got a big job to do at United. I think he would absolutely relish the chance to be able to manage Manchester United. all this talk about he only stays for 3 years and then he buggers off or he goes off the boil in his third year, I think that's because he's always been with fractious CEOs and billionaire owners and that kind of stuff who just don't like his character sometimes. I think United would give him the chance. I think they give him more of a chance than they would with LVG because I think he would adapt to us. I think, given the chance, Jose would play the youth if it was up to scratch. But we don't know if the rest of the team, like you got Roshan, Williams and all that kind of stuff, if they are going to cut the mustard in the future. So for me, Jose is the only one who's going to come in.
Yeah, I mean, whilst you were talking, I did flash up something that hopefully will dispel a lot of things about how his goal records and things like that. But I want to say as well, and I've read this, I'm not taking credit for this, most things I nick. I read it from a journalist today saying that it makes him laugh how Mourinho gets this constant rubbish about being a short-term manager. Even Phil Neville said it today, which is fine. I have no problem with Phil Neville saying that. He basically said that he might only be there 2 or 3 years. How long's Pep Guardiola been everywhere he's been? It's like, Mourinho, this happens in football. People get these things thrown at them. But I think, Alex, just to throw, I was looking at some of the comments there. The main things people are worried about is he parks the bus, he doesn't play the youth, and he's arrogant and up himself. The park the bus thing, I mean, he's broken every goal record he's ever been most seasons. And he did park the bus with Inter against Barcelona for sure, but that Barcelona team, I saw them take 2 European Cups off us. They were probably one of the best teams of the last 50 years. So the thing about Mourinho, he's malleable, isn't he? He will find a way of winning games. I just want to say, Abdullah put something in the comments section a moment ago saying that I chat shit. Probably right, but I know nothing because I don't go to games. Right. Just on that one, I don't like that sort of comment because a lot of people don't go to games. It's elitist. And 2, my mate James is an Aston Villa season ticket. He's a ticket holder. He's registered blind. He's never seen in his whole life. He's never seen a football match, but he goes to every single game. Chat rubbish like that, and you make yourself look silly. A lot of people don't go to games for many, many reasons. We don't want comments like that. It's really not helpful when we're talking about football. So that's probably why your comment got blocked. But over to you, Alex. I mean, we were talking about Mourinho. Have you got any concern? I mean, I will say, I'm not going to say he's going to win as a title or anything like that. It could go wrong, but he's the right man for the job. That's all I can say.
Looking at his track record, I think there's nothing is certain, but with him, it is pretty a high % chance that we will win the league under him. I can't think of a single team that he hasn't won the league at. In fact, I don't think there is one that he hasn't won the league at. I think like one thing I am worried about is Rashford. I think Rashford is with the youth. I think if they've already been established with the likes of maybe not Lingard, or actually probably will like Lingard because of his work rate. But I kind of worry with Fosu Mensah because he's only played like a few games. But with Rashford, I think if he was his style, then he would play him in the youth. But I worry about it that he always plays the target man, like lone striker target man, the likes of Drogba, Costa, like players like that. And I just don't think that Rashford is really his sort of lone striker. Whereas if the rumours are true that we're bringing in Zlatan, then that would be more his type of striker. But I hope he proves me wrong. In terms of bringing out the best of other players, I think how he likes to play with like a holding midfielder like Matic. I think he might play Schneiderlin more often than Schneiderlin played under Van Gaal. If you go by his most recent Chelsea team, and you never know, he could reinvigorate the likes of Memphis to live up to his potential. But as I've said in the past, Memphis' biggest problem is that he plays the same position as our best player.
I mean, Jordan's saying there, do you think he'll play better football? I mean, I think, I think the tea lady could play better football. I think what I would say about what's about to happen to United tomorrow and over the next few days is that we're about to wipe the slate clean. But we've lost 3 years. Let's be honest, we've lost 3 years. I mean, all we've taken out of that is an FA Cup, which is fantastic for the fans. I think it's great. But it's only great because a lot of us love the FA Cup and we've won it so much and we haven't won it for so long. The cold harsh truth is that Arsenal have won it twice and Wigan got relegated winning it. So in the modern day, the FA Cup doesn't mean a whole lot, although it's massive to us because we've got great history with it. We're not in the Champions League and we're starting a scratch. But I think that's real. I mean, I'm really positive about it. I don't know what Dorothy and Alex think, but I really am positive about it. I think we wipe the slate clean. We get the best manager in the world statistically, and I believe he is the best manager in the world anyway. We've got so much is going to be going on. I mean, we were talking about it today. There's so much going to go on in relation to transfers. I mean, not just Mourinho, but Ibrahimovic, for me, he's just. I know his age is an issue, but he's just Cantona-esque. He brings passion and everything. I would love him to come to the club. Very quickly on what Alex was saying about Rashford there, and people having the concerns about the youth. I mean, we've had a youth player in our matchday squad since the 1930s. There's just no way he's going to come to the club and say, first game of the season, no youth. It'll be part of the deal. Mourinho's not coming. Mourinho's not walking into Manchester United and saying, "Here I am, I'm the special one." He wants this job desperately, and he's going to have to. I mean, that email, was it in January, Draughty, where he said, he basically begged for the job. I don't think he begged for the job, but I certainly think he'll have made promises that there's certain things he's going to adhere to that fit in with the United way.
Oh, to be fair to Jose Mourinho, I think Manchester United is kind of the crowning glory for any manager's CV, Is he going to look at that and go, Chelsea is the best he can do in England? Absolutely not. He's always going to want to manage Manchester United. If he can turn around at the end of his career and say, I've managed Inter Milan, Real Madrid and Manchester United, then he'll be a very happy man. And I think to kind of dispel the myth of Jose Mourinho only staying for 3 years, I think he will definitely get the players in we need. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, 35 at the start of the season, whatever, get him in. He is fantastic. And the other thing is Rashford and Martial can definitely learn off of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. It doesn't matter what his wages are, whoever, Ibrahimovic with Rooney, because Rooney's going to play next season. Jose does like Rooney. Everyone needs to remember that. He tried to get him for Chelsea. I can just see Zlatan coming in and kind of, giving a helping hand and an arm around Martial and Rashford and really giving them a confidence boost, because his ego is so massive. Other players around him are going to naturally feel more confident. You've got a player who's literally won a title in every single country he's gone to. Yeah. And he is a brilliant player, and I absolutely idolise Ibrahimovic. I think he's fantastic, and I thought he should have come over to the Premier League a long time ago. For one season, it is totally worth it. He will get people on the edge of their seats, and he will score goals. And immediately, if he does come in, we will attract other players as well, Champions League or not. Ibrahimovic and Jose are the key to the next season building. We've already got Martial in, who has been absolutely fantastic this year. Rashford, he's an uncut diamond who we just kind of found, by accident, complete accident that he was in the team because, it was an injury that forced him through. Borthwick Jackson might struggle next season because, Shaw's coming back into the team. So where's he going to play? Is he actually going to be in the team? Is he going to move over to right back? Because obviously we've got a bit of a problem there. So there are young players in our team. Memphis definitely needs Jose's arm around him. Could potentially turn Memphis into a kind of Eden Hazard figure. Although, the start of this season, Hazard kind of dropped off a bit, but Memphis definitely needs another shot this season, I think. And I think Jose will get the best out of the players, and we will get the ones in to bring a more balanced team. And I think he would, I like Juan Mata, but I think he'll go. Fellaini will definitely be the first one on the bus out of Manchester. Hope so. I know you're hoping for that. I just think it'd be great. It'll be a fantastic summer. I really think everyone should be really excited. We've just won the FA Cup. Jose Mourinho coming in. It gives us a platform to move forward. You've just won a trophy, so everyone in the squad is going to, have a winner's medal around their necks, which is a great place to start. So next season, let's actually try and get excited over the summer.
I don't know, very quickly, I don't know how they hand out the Cup winners' medals, whether you had to be part of the squad or it's like the wider squad, like Memphis gets one or anything like that. But if they don't get one, Phil Jones should give his medal to Borthwick Jackson, because I think it's an absolute farce what he was doing in the squad. Did he even play in the FA Cup? He barely played a minute anyway. But I agree with Draughty there. I mean, I think Mourinho and Mendes will attract any bloody player they want, really, barring probably Messi and Ronaldo because he didn't want to play for Mourinho. But the difference is Van Gaal, he wouldn't have attracted anybody for two reasons. One, the football's rubbish, and two, everyone can see that what he's done in the last 2 years at United. The difference with Mourinho is obviously he's got Mendes and he's got the pull of Mourinho, but this is a blank canvas. This is Operation Get Manchester United back to the top, and some players will be really interested in doing that. And very quickly on the youth, anybody who wants to defend Van Gaal about youth, where was the youth yesterday in the biggest game of the season? I think the youth deserve to be rewarded for helping us out when we were down to the bare bones, and the only one who got rewarded was Rashford, because he'd have been hung, drawn and quartered if he hadn't played Rashford. No other youth players. I thought Varela deserved to be part of the squad. Borthwick Jackson should have started. I mean, Rojo's rubbish. But looking at some of your comments, De Gea stays, says Victor Bernio, definitely. Martial, Rashford, Coman, says Carlo Capallo. Do you guys believe Januzaj and Pereira will be given a chance? Interesting, Abdullah. I don't know. Pereira, I hope so. Januzaj, I'm not convinced. I mean, he's not been good for 2 years now. Drake Glaciers, players will want to impress Mourinho as well, so we might see Martial and Memphis take their game to another level. I definitely agree with Alex. I think Schneiderlin and Herrera could work really well with him. Mata goes, says Victor Benigno. Fosu Mensah is a Mourinho type player. I agree with that. I think Rashford and Fosu Mensah, they've got nothing to worry about. They're going to be the two of the best players in the world, and they're youth players, so fantastic. Jake Macker, love how there's no Manchester lads on this show. Well, Zara's from Manchester and Kev's from Manchester, but I don't know.
I could do a Manc accent if you want me to.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling to see the relevance of that. Are you saying that only Manchester United fans should be from Manchester? Because you'll be in the conference very quickly, mate. Most, 95% of your support aren't from Manchester, so odd comment there. What formation will Jose play? Usman Arshad, very good question. We'll talk about that in the coming weeks. We've got lots of weeks to talk about this, hopefully. Alex, I'm going to be talking next about players he'll get rid of, so get thinking about that while I look through some live comments. Has Mata lived up to his price tag, says FIFA God 07? I don't think so. Fosu Monster, Will Morris. Smalling United qualities in the... Well, I think he has been. I just think he's struggled in the last few weeks, to be honest. Lionsdale 1. Why are you speaking in a posh English accent, Drawty? We will get him on that one, don't worry. The tour will be interesting to see who he looks at. It's only 2 games, isn't it, I think? Do you think James Wilson will get a shout? There's lots to consider. And obviously, what happens to Giggs? I think we'll throw Giggs into this, Alex, as well. But if you had to... I mean, don't limit at 5 if you can go beyond 5. But what players do you think are going to go this summer?
That's a hard one, because I think the obvious choice that everyone will say is Mata, but I'm not sure whether he will just come in and instantly get rid of Mata. Maybe he just had different personnel at his disposal at Chelsea that he preferred over Mata, whereas with United we don't necessarily have as high quality as when he first came into Chelsea. Fellaini would be another one that people might say, but I'm not sure about that. I think, I think
Fellaini's going to stay for some reason. I don't know why.
I think he will as well. If I was going off, basing it off his Chelsea team, I think Herrera would be like the Fabregas type figure and Schneiderlin would be the Matic type figure. But then I also read that he's a huge fan of Schweinsteiger as well. So the thing is, though, Van Gaal always went on about, he kept using the youth because he wanted to keep a small squad. We don't really have to sell anyone, if you think about it. Like even Lingard, who I don't really think is United quality, but he's a Mourinho type player because he has a lot of work rate. So yeah, I think Pereira maybe we might sell, Januzaj might sell, just like fringe players. I don't think we'll sell any of our main squad, if I'm being honest.
Lucia Mayweather, I do read your comments, just you're not wasted. And obviously your comments, you're part of the show anyway, they're whizzing up on the screen, so that's fantastic, that's why we do it. But I do read them, and if I spot one, I will always try and get it. But Lucius Mayweather says, can we acknowledge that Jose signed 4 players under 21 in his last stint at Chelsea with a view to the future? And I think that's a good comment on both levels. 1, the youth, but 2, I think he was going back to Chelsea to stay there for 5 to 10 years. I think that is what his intention was. Let's not forget he got the sack. I don't think he's coming to United thinking it's a 2 or 3 year project. He might only be a 2-3 year project because he might fall out with everybody. But I haven't lost hope that the class of '92 will come in at some point. None of them are ready to do it at the moment. So 2 to 3 years, if he does what he does everywhere else, I'm not fussed. I think we're in that much of a dangerous position. But Mojo Hammer, players out: Fellaini, Rojo, Valencia, Jones, Rooney. Fellaini, yes, would be one of mine. Rojo, definitely one of mine. Phil Jones is one of mine. Mata is one of mine. And who else did I put down? I did write somebody else down. I forget who it is. Dead air is dead air, but I can't remember who it was. But yeah, definitely. I think Mata will go just because I think the problems he's had with Mourinho in the past. Lukaku's definitely not going to get signed, so people can forget about that. Fellaini, I think one thing about Mourinho is that he's very aware. He's brilliant with, I nearly said social media, but with fans and everything like that. And he'll be very aware that the fans aren't 100% with Fellaini, and he can score a very easy point with us all by getting rid of him. And Mourinho is very aware of things like that. Rojo I don't think is good enough. Phil Jones is just a waste of time as a professional footballer and needs to just get out of Manchester. It just winds me up so much. And Rooney, he's not a centre midfielder. What I thought about Rooney yesterday is I've been moaning about him playing at number 10 for weeks. When he got into the number 10 position yesterday, ran at players, went into the box, changed the game, and I think that's where Rooney should be playing. I do not like him as a centre midfielder, and I don't think Mourinho will either. But there's somebody else, Jorty. But anyway, have I missed anyone? Do you think anything different?
Obviously, I think Mata will probably, a bit like Fellaini, be the first one out. Mourinho sees him as I think he said he was a lazy player, a bit of a luxury player. So he didn't like his work rate at all, especially in training. So Mata, for me, it would be a worry because they were already talking about him going anyway beforehand. So if Jose comes in, I think Mata will be leaving. For his price tag, he really hasn't lived up to the billing at all. There's been flashes of brilliance now and again. That goal against Liverpool was fantastic. But to be quite honest, Juan Mata, for the money we spent on him, should have done a lot better. Should have had a lot of better moments in a Manchester United shirt. So for me, yeah, he really should go. And I know he scored a goal yesterday, and it got us back in the game, and everyone was buzzing. But for me, Juan Mata, probably his time at Manchester United was coming to an end. Michael Carrick, I'm afraid to say, Mark, I think it felt like that was his last moment at Manchester United, especially when Rooney handed the trophy over to him to lift it second, and everyone gave him a big cheer. It kind of felt to me like that was Carrick's last moment in a Manchester United shirt, which is a sad thing. He has been a great servant to the club over the years, and he has had some great moments, and he's massively underrated, especially with England. But I think it's time for someone else. I'd worry for Morgan Schneiderlin, if I'm honest. I know, Alex, you're turning your head there, but the way you look at it, where does he fit into a team? If Jose does bring in his own personnel, he likes midfielders a bit more like the Spanish and Brazilian type, and Morgan just doesn't suit that at all. And that's the same with Fellaini,
He's quite similar to Matic.
He is, and I completely agree with you there. But we're forgetting Schweinsteiger. You've got both of them there. So is Jose going to hold on to both Schweinsteiger and Schneiderlin? I don't think he would hold on to both of them. I think he would ship one of them out. Would he want to get rid of Schweinsteiger? Maybe shit one of them out. Maybe, I don't know. No, shit. Yeah. But I think he'd probably end up getting rid of Schneiderlin over Schweinsteiger. I don't know why, but I just feel that maybe for shirt sales or whatever. I know we don't ever do things like that, and we shouldn't do. But I just feel like Bastian would probably want another shot at the a good season with Manchester United, because Michael Ballack wasn't under Jose, was he? He was under Ranieri. Is that right?
No, he was under.
No, he was under Jose.
Yeah, Shevchenko as well, didn't he? At the same time.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to work out, because I thought he quite liked Michael Ballack, and he came in when he was 30, 31. So I would imagine Schweinsteiger would stay. Valencia, I would get rid of as well. Rojo, even Ian Dowie was saying to me yesterday, he goes, look at this way. Dennis Irwin or Marcus Rojo. Chris Smalling or Rio Ferdinand. Daley Blind or Nemanja Vidic or Valencia or Gary Neville. We just do not have the side we did back 10 years ago. He goes, it's a weak side, and for £250 million spent, what have we got to show? Hardly anything.
There's loads of things you've said there that I always try and think I've got to talk about that and that whilst always leaving the live comments. But when I was doing the live watch along with Paul yesterday and we were getting frustrated, I said to Paul, why is it that 97%, I don't know why I said 7 and not 9 or 5, 97% of Manchester United fans could manage Manchester United better than Louis van Gaal, and yet he gets paid loads of money for it. And I'm not talking about the tactical side of things. I'm talking about the selection of the team. You've got a right back who's not a right back. You've got a left back who's not a left back. You've got a centre back who's a midfielder. You've got a number 10 playing in centre midfield with Carrick. You've got a tree playing in the pitch who should be planted in a forest. You've got number 10 Mata playing on right wing. There's so many square pegs in round holes, and that is a massive problem. If I'm being critical, Punchin's finish was very good, but Valencia and Mata were way out of position trying to read a line and not following the man. And that happens with Valencia. He's a great squad player, David Nelson, you're right. Valencia, Blind and Lingard are squad players for me, and they're very, very important. I wouldn't get rid of them. You need squad players like that. But Jorty did just remind me as well, Schweinsteiger was the player I think he might get rid of, because I think it might suit Schweinsteiger to go and do the MLS or something like that. I just worry. I love Schweinsteiger, but it's just not worked out. And it sort of disappoints me a bit how he's not been involved in the team at all, FA Cup. Yet we know in 2 weeks' time he'll be running out for Germany. Something a bit odd about that. But Mata divides opinion. Loads of people in the comments section saying that they want him to stay. Some people saying not. You know, for me it comes down to, I've said it for a long, long time, he's a fantastic bloke. He comes out with absolutely, he's spot on about footballers being paid too much. He really has a passion for football. But you know what, if I'm being absolutely 100% honest, I won't miss him if he's sold, apart from the nice side of him. I think he's a flat track bully. I think he slows us down, and I've not seen anything in him in the last 3 or 4 years that made me the player he was before that. And it's a shame. I'd love it to work, but if I could swap him for somebody else, I would do it. And there's about 5 or 6 other players I can think of that I'd swap him for. Memphis concerns me. He doesn't strike me as being the sort of player for Mourinho, but maybe he'll see it as a challenge, like Alex said, and try and turn him around, because he's the thing we all know under Van Gaal is that there's a lot of, basically from defence up, if you're an attacking player or got any creativity in you, we haven't really seen the best of them this season, because Van Gaal is such a dictator. And I think we're going to see different players next year and go, I hope nobody says, where were they last year? Because I'll explain it to you now. They've been there all the time. They've just not been allowed to do what they do. It's why he picks Fellaini, because Fellaini's just boring and plays the simple things. So I think Herrera, Schneidlin, they could have a really good future under a different manager at Manchester United, and I hope they do. But the next one, we're going to talk about some of the targets at the end, because I know that'll excite people. But Giggs is a big one. Giggs, class of '92, legend at the club. I would love him to be Manchester United at some point. Definitely not now. I just don't think he's ready. It's too big a risk. He's been assistant manager to Moyes, who was a disaster. He's been assistant manager to Louis van Gaal, who's been a disaster. I think he's got to go out, Alex, and find himself a club. And if he wants to manage Manchester United, you know, you shouldn't get it on a plate. We're not Barcelona. We don't do it like that. Go out, earn your corn somewhere. Where do you think he should go? And also, I think people forget about Giggs. All his career, he played under Sir Alex Ferguson. He doesn't need to sit next to Mourinho, Van Gaal, Moyes to learn how to manage. If he didn't learn anything in his whole career from Sir Alex Ferguson, who is the best manager in sport ever, I think, it's time to go out there and do the job yourself.
Yeah, I think we'll get in a lot of trouble, and because it's a bit of a sensitive subject with some United fans. But I don't know. It kind of annoys me, his arrogance. It seems to be that he expected, like you said, to get given the biggest job in football just on a plate like that without doing anything to earn it. I think he should go out and manage like the likes of Swansea or some team like that, and then if he does do well, yeah, it's like Swansea. And then if he does well there, then yeah, maybe after Jose give him a shot at the United job. But we've said it on the show so many times. I don't even think that he would be the best choice out of the class of '92. I think, but Nicky Butt has more experience than him. Phil Neville has more experience than him. Gary Neville, I know he didn't do that great at Valencia, but
that's Giggs on the phone. He's with your missus.
He has more experience than him as well.
Yeah, no, I don't know. If you want to take that call, you can do, Alex. But I do agree with you, and I'm not. You know, I don't think people. I hope people don't think we're having a pop at Giggs. We're not having a pop at Giggs. In fact, Ming Hu says Giggs for Everton. The best club he can get, I'll be ecstatic. You know, if they gave him the Arsenal job, I know he wouldn't go there, but I don't think Everton will give the job to Giggs. But I would love it. I'm not anti-Giggs at all. In fact, I'm probably pro-Giggs because I want him to go out and get his stripes and prove himself. And I don't think you do as assistant manager. I don't think Mourinho will want him. I don't think he, to be respectful to Giggs, will want to be assistant manager again. Assistant manager is a job in itself. You know, you look at, I've said it before, Paul Clement, or Clement, because I think he's actually English, was at Real Madrid, a brilliant assistant manager. He goes to Derby County, he's rubbish. You know, Brian Kidd, Steve McLaren, great assistants at United, rubbish as managers. If he wants to be a manager, you've got to go and be a manager. And that's what I think, Drawty. And it's nothing against Giggs. Giggs is a legend. I would love a class of '92 member to be the manager of our club because they know the club inside out. But none of them are ready. And the only way they're going to get ready is by going to do it. And I totally respect Gary Neville for trying that Valencia thing because I wouldn't have done it. I thought he was on a hiding to nothing going over to a country like that where you've got two dominant Celtic and Rangers types and you're going to go and manage a Hibernian type. But yeah, on Giggs, I think he's got to go and earn his stripes.
I mean, Giggs was on the touchline pretty much the whole of yesterday. Sort of halfway through the first half, he got out onto the touchline and he was there and he was barking orders out. whilst Louis van Gaal pretty much did nothing until the final whistle, pretty much. The thing is with Giggs, yes, he's a club legend. Yes, no one is ever going to forget the achievements he's done. He played until he's 40, absolutely fantastic world-class player for Manchester United. Does that give you the divine right to be a world-class manager? No, it doesn't. Look at Diego Maradona, world-class player, one of the best in history. Is he a world-class manager? Is he? He's just not. And the other thing is Zidane. A lot of people are saying about Zidane now because this is his first. He's not even had a full season, but he's got Real Madrid to the Champions League final. The thing is with Zidane, it's almost like another Guardiola situation. He's got Ronaldo at his feet, and he's got another, Galactico team. It's not like he's playing with Everton or anything like that, building them up. Giggs would have a complete and utter rebuild job at Manchester United as it is. He's already working with these players, so I don't know how much he can change and influence at the moment, if you know what I mean. Because he's already been there under the Louis van Gaal regime. If he was that object to it, he would have said something, and he hasn't. So he's almost been a bit of a bystander in some respects. And you've got to say, Giggs, if you're that much of an influence on these players, why aren't you having them more attacking? And why have you not got more of a voice? If you really want to be a manager and you want to be forceful, you need to be in the manager's ear saying what you think. So, as much as we say we don't want to criticise Giggs, I think some of the blame has to be laid at his feet because he is a club legend. Out of all assistant managers, Ryan Giggs has got the biggest link to the club and he would have the biggest influence on the players. And I think that's kind of overlooked a little bit. If it was another assistant manager, it would be different. But Giggs really has got, he's played with Rooney as well. He's a bit too matey. He's a bit too close to him, if you know what I mean. So I think...
With him, didn't he?
Well, this is it. It's which restroom are we talking about? But for me, I think Giggs needs to cut his teeth elsewhere. And I personally, I think the Championship. I don't think Everton would be a good fit for him at all. I think that's. I think he needs a bit more, like in Spain when they go down a division to train them in the B teams. I don't think jumping straight into the Premier League is the best idea, if I'm honest.
No, well, he's from Cardiff, isn't he? Maybe he could go and do that, or they're managed, owned by a nutter, so that might not be good. Charlie Maguire, I like this comment. Fellaini is thick as anything and way too slow. I've seen milk turn quicker. I liked that one, but it's irrelevant to where I'm going next. I'm going to go through some of your comments in a moment. Then it's to Alex. We just want to talk about what players you think are going to come in. Give us three, Alex. He's not even looking, but he'll get it on the spot now. It's his own fault. But I do agree with George. In fact, I think I've said it myself. I got into a bit of trouble a few months ago saying, what does Giggs do? If you sit next to something that's not working, then you are there by association. And a lot of people defended him, saying, well, it's not, he's not the manager. And actually, you know what? He probably is in a difficult position because if he'd said, I'm going, and walked away and said, I don't like what's happening here, then they'd have had to sack Van Gaal straight away, wouldn't they? He's that much of a legend, Giggs. I think if he'd got up and said, I'm off, I don't like this, then Van Gaal would have been finished months ago, which actually probably wouldn't have been a bad thing. So yeah, I do blame Giggs. I'm only joking. But yeah, in summary, I don't think anybody thinks any different. He can't be manager at the moment. It's too much of a risk. And he needs to go elsewhere. And to be honest, if you want my personal opinion on it, I hope he proves me wrong, but I never really saw Ryan Giggs as a manager. I just never have. By his own admission, he's quite a laid-back personality, and I think I'll always say this about Van Gaal as well, and a lot of people defended him back in, when there were still people who were Van Gaal in around Christmas. It does, and I'll argue it with anybody, it does make a massive difference to have a manager on the sideline shouting at you, or a manager sat on his backside colouring in. I've played football, and I'm sure a lot of you have, and if your manager is on the touchline telling you to pull your finger out or you're being pulled off, you might run over and say, pull me off, but in a football sense, you don't want to get subbed. But if you look over and your manager's just there writing in his book, you think, oh, whatever, and I totally stand by that. But there was news today that Zlatan will come in and be player coach as number 2. Yeah, I think that's a load of rubbish. Wow, it's flying through now. Lacazette, not even in the French squad. We were on about him last year. Alex, think of your 3 players that you think are coming to United anyway. Coming to you very, very shortly, but I'll just give you a little time. Mojo Hammer, Varane, Ibra, and Mahrez. Let's not forget Shaw will be back. There's lots to be excited for. We've got a very good squad. That's just not been used. All sorts of things can happen. There are still people Van Gaal in, says you, United man. Whether you talk about it or not. Yeah, but I think the people in the white coats will be round soon. I mean, seriously, do we want to talk about anybody being Van Gaal in? I know there's people who think Van Gaal's done good, and I respect that, and I've spoken to some of those today. You know, I know some people think that Van Gaal has restructured the club fantastically, and I wouldn't disagree with that. I just disagree with the fact that he's all about the youth, because I think he showed that yesterday with his FA Cup squad. But I think the youth was in a mess, and I think he sorted out the youth. But I also think Warren Joyce was already at the club and deserves massive credit for that. You know, the youth didn't suddenly get sought out when Van Gaal came, not at all. Lewis saying Van Gaal built a squad, I disagree. There's this myth that he did a fantastic clear out last year. We need one now. He cleared out the wrong players last summer. I still think controversial. I still think Nani would have offered more than some players we've had this season. Van Persie would have done. Hernandez would have done. There's others. Raphael. I mean, Jesus Christ, we're still playing Valencia at right back. I mean, why Raphael was let go? Lived, breathed, and died for Manchester United. And where's the shirt, the number that he had at the club? You know, ridiculous. But have I given you enough time, Alex, to discuss the 3 players you think United will sign this summer?
Yeah, I take it these are realistic signings.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, well, I think Zlatan number 1, and I would be overjoyed if we signed him. I know he is quite old, but if you look this last season, he scored 50 goals, so he has no sign of slowing down yet. If you look at his time at PSG, and I think he was like 32 when he went to PSG, and if you put his goals and assists together, they're like way over the amount of games played. He nearly averaged a goal a game now, and I know it is a crap league and everything, but if you saw him against Chelsea, he scored in the Champions League this year. He scored against City in the Champions League, and he's done it to Arsenal that season before, so he can do it against the English teams. Number 2, who's been really strongly linked with us and who I would have loved for us to sign after the last World Cup. We were linked with him when he was at Porto, is James Rodriguez. Real Madrid apparently want to get rid of him. I don't watch Real Madrid, so I don't know how he's been this season, but in the World Cup he was brilliant, and I think he was
Mourinho.
Yeah, another Mendes player, so that could be a signing that could happen. And then number 3, if we're going with realistic signings, I don't know, I'm still in 2 minds whether I want him or not, but I know Mourinho's a big fan, is John Stones, because he tried to sign him at Chelsea, if you remember this last summer, and Everton just rejected the bid, but I think they might have just said, give us 1 more season, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, John Stones, but if not, he's a big fan of Raphael Varane from Real Madrid as well, but I don't know whether they'll give us 2 of their players in 1 summer.
Wayne's telling me to behave there because about Robin Van Persie and Nani. I'm not. It's all about opinion, Wayne. That's why we do the United Stand. You know, if you disagree, that's fine. Absolutely fine. Football Focus saying Stones, Ibra, and James, a bit like Alex. Anderson is inconsistent. Joe Maria, I think he's a bit lightweight, Lewis, but. Hakan Callahan, I'll leave that to Drawty. He loves him. The Turkey. What was the score in the England game? Anyone? I couldn't give a shit. It was 1-1.
2-1.
To England.
I scored.
Who?
Calhanoglu did score.
Did we win?
Yeah,
we won.
Missed the penalty as well. Jamie Vardy scored the winner.
I will get into the Euros at some point, but not till it starts. Drawty, three for you.
Zlatan, first and foremost. I think that's pretty much a nailed on, isn't it? I would take Calhanoglu. He's fantastic at free kicks. Everyone's going on about Memphis is very good at free kicks, but to be honest, I get Calhanoglu in. I think he's... Well, exactly. So I think we do need a specialist in, and Calhanoglu is he's young enough where I think he's only 22, so he is good enough to be in this team. And we definitely need a new centre-back, and the only one for me is John Stones. He really did have a good game for England today. He put his body on the line. He was fantastic. So for me, those would be my 3.
Yeah, I mean, there's some great comments coming in there. What I would say, I think Drawty's right about Memphis, is that he's had a bad season, but free kicks are free kicks. And if you saw him at PSV, he was whacking them in all over the place. And something's gone wrong with him with his free kicks because he's just not a lot like scoring. But, Memphis is going to be something we'll touch on through the summer. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Andrew Ellis, I want Sol, Varane, Morata. Usman wants Zlatan, Bale and Varane, or thinks that. Jamie Ricketts, Alvaro Morata. I really like him. I just want to say actually about Morata, people might not know about him, but he's not dissimilar to Ibrahimovic in the fact that he's quick. Ibrahimovic, if people don't know what he does, agile for his size, very strong, holds the ball up really well, very creative, and he'll bully defenders, which we haven't got. So I'd love him to come to Manchester United. Absolutely love it. Stones is dividing opinion. DN, I can't get the rest, says Stones is overrated. I think Stones has played for a manager under Martinez who's rubbish with defenders, and Mourinho is brilliant with defenders, and I think he could turn John Stones into John Terry. Hopefully he won't go around nicking things and doing people's girlfriends, but I don't know why I said nicking things. Has John Terry ever done that? Nicking people's girlfriends. But so I think he could do really well with John Stones. And he wanted him at Chelsea, as Alex or Draughty said. So I'd be happy with Stones. I'd sort of forgotten about him. I think he could happen. I think Ibrahimovic. And number 3 for me, I don't know why. Maybe if you're getting Zlatan, why would you get Aubameyang? But I just got a funny feeling about that. I think James is a good... James Rodriguez, is a good shout. But I tell you what, the great thing is, it's exciting because there's just so many. And I do think it needs a clear out as well. So there's lots going out, lots coming in. And that will happen with Mourinho. They're not going to get any of this. There's no value in the transfer market rubbish if he's coming in. Because one thing about Mourinho is he will get the players in. And as we saw at Chelsea, they're not stupid. Hopefully our transfer, that's an important thing. I don't know whether we're going to get Andrea Berta as a sporting director. I think we do need one. But we've been a joke in the transfer market, and we've not touched on that, and I don't think anybody's touched on it. But when you get Mourinho, he's very good in the transfer market, and we've needed to be like that for a long time. But we've been on for over an hour. Fantastic. We could do another hour, but I think we'll sort of call it a day there. What I would say is loads of you watching. We're over 1,000 at one point, which is great, and I think that shows after a horrible season, because we've seen, especially the last few months, we've seen viewing figures going down on videos and everything like that because people have been so fed up, and you deserve better. You got a cup yesterday. Stay with us through the summer, because I think we're going to have a fantastic summer. And there's no football, but I think there's just going to be so much to discuss every Sunday night at 9 o'clock. We're going to have videos coming out every day because there's going to be so many transfer links and everything like that. So loads going on the United stand. As always, we'll be interactive with you. I think tomorrow's going to be a big day. Van Gaal's gone tomorrow, and I'm confident about it. So watch the video about him going if you want. It's already up. We'll have another one up tomorrow anyway to react to that. I think I've covered about everything, but what I would say is thanks to everybody for sticking with us. We've shared the bad times. I personally think we're in for some good times now, and I think Chelsea fans definitely, Liverpool fans, Arsenal fans, they're all trying to take a pop at us today on Twitter and stuff, but inside they're absolutely green with envy because we've just got the best manager in world football. They know we're on our way back, and we might have stuttered along the way, but we're definitely coming back. Anything you want to add, Alex?
No, just that I pray all these rumours are true and that he is our manager, because I've wanted him as our manager for so many years. And a lot of people are saying still that, I 100% disagree with United signing Mourinho. But like you said, he's the best manager in the world. And even if he only does stay for 2 or 3 years, well, Pep is going to do the exact same at City, and no one ever mentions that.
Yeah, there's a few people asking about the accent for Draughty, which I will ask him about, whether it's here to stay or not. Without further ado, I think I will ask you that. But somebody just said about Laporte. We talked about him at the top of the show, left-sided centre-back. I only found out a couple of hours ago he's another player under Mendes, which means Mourinho. He could definitely happen. Stones and Laporte. We do need, we've got Smalling. That's only 3 centre-backs. I don't count Blind as a centre-back. I barely count Phil Jones as a footballer, so we need why not go for 2? But Draughty, is this accent here to stay, and is there anything you want to add?
Seriously, people think it's an accent? I mean, come on. What's wrong with my voice? I thought it was fine. No, yeah. To be honest, I think it did start out as a joke last year, as you know, Mark. It was kind of just. I didn't think I was going to do this long term, so it kind of ended up being a bit of a, once you've done it once, you had to keep going with it. And I think talking about football and the way it's been and this season and seeing how the channel's grown, I thought, do you know what, I might as well just use my real voice. It's a lot more serious, and I've been serious on this channel, so, and I've been helping out with all the graphics and that kind of stuff because I am actually a professional graphic designer. But I just thought for once I'd actually use my real voice, and I will probably keep it because people seem to think I'm a posh boy now, which is quite funny. So, but yeah, I'm not Canadian as much as everyone is probably thinking what the hell's going on. So,
posh boy. I got called a posh public school boy today by somebody who does some blog. You know the hardcore fans who think they own the club and because they go to every game and they hate anybody who doesn't go drink in their pub and speak with their whatever. But I've never been to public school, so I'll just ruin that. And as I say, I'm from Cork and my name's Dermot, so I'll be talking like this from now on, and you can fucking live with it. And I can say fuck because that means feck in Ireland. But there's 2 donkeys in the squad and Fellaini is both of them. Charlie Maguire is on form. He's having a pop at Fellaini tonight and he's loving it. But do drop us a like. We've had a fantastic weekend. There's loads coming up. I finished the season last year and we said, see you in August. And then we carried on through the summer and we had more interaction and did so many shows and it was great. So I'm not even going to say that. The summer's going to be fantastic. We're not going anywhere. There'll probably more compliments than... I'm reading something there. We'll probably have more interaction with you lot than we do in the season because it's been a bad season. So stick with us. We're not going anywhere. We'll still be here every Sunday night at 9 o'clock. We'll have loads of shows coming up. Devils Know Best, our new quiz, interactive with you, started on Friday. That'll be back on Friday at 4 o'clock. So there's absolutely loads going on. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Like the video for us, please. And we'll be back tomorrow. We will be back tomorrow because I tell you what, Van Gaal's going to get the sack, whether you like it or not. Because if by some miracle he's still in a job on Tuesday, I've got to have a really long think about the future of my life, I think. But that's not going to happen. He's going to go. And very quickly, people are saying we can all buy Manchester United merchandise now. I think I was the only one, and maybe the Drawty, who took that stance. Alex was out buying the shirts anyway. I personally don't buy shirts. I might get a tracksuit top. That's what I'm all about. As you can see, I just do the tracksuit tops. So I may well treat myself to it. But a lot of people are saying thanks for the show. The reveal from Drawty, as per usual, good comments from Alex and brilliance from me. But it's nothing without you. I'm so happy we have the live comments running up alongside us because I can't do it justice. It's really difficult. Calvin Carrick's asking about red rumours. Binned it, mate. We've binned it because, to be honest, we talk about 5 different targets and we have to rush through it. So I think what we're going to do from now on is we'll just do an individual target for 3 or 4 minutes, give them more justice, because I tell you what, it's going to be so many and there's a lot of production that goes into that from the Drawty Devil, so we've trimmed it down a bit, I think, haven't we, Drawty?
Yeah, I mean, some shows are taking like 6 or 7 hours on a Sunday. And it's just, you can't commit to that when it's got so many things going on, especially when you've got to be quick and react to it. So, yeah, we've just had to make a change.
We might do some specials, Red Rumours, because they are funny. I'll tell you what I would love to see, though. I'd love to see a mashup back for the end of the season, because I thought they were great. But that's down to the Drawty again, if he can be arsed. But they were really funny. But I think we'll leave you with Carrick fan at the end. So I just want to say thanks to everybody for watching. I really, really enjoyed the show. Do get involved. The United Stand is nothing without you lot. It started, we used to get like 10, 20, 30 people watching at the very start, and now loads of you get involved. And the big thing for me is that it's always about fan opinion, this channel, 100%. And the fan voice needs to be heard. I think hopefully we're going to get our way tomorrow, which is great. But I'm going to leave you with the Carrick fan if I can find the clip.
Yes! Ha ha! Screw you! Oh, yes! You get me blood, you get me fire, you get me blood. Boom! 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 Vamos! Get it!
No way better to end a show. See you all tomorrow when Van Gaal will be sad.